I grew up on Batman and DC animated series, Justice League, and X-Men, and all that stuff. And then when it started getting bad, I just went straight to manga stuff, where the storylines were still good. Dragon Ball Z, I grew up with that as well. And so then as I'm getting older, and look, I'm a big fan of Static Shock, but it was preachy. It was okay. I liked the show, but it was very preachy. Then I see Naruto, and the only preaching in it is, try and save your enemies. Like the character arc for Naruto is that I absolutely love this writing. Some of the best writing ever done. Have you ever read or watched Naruto? So I'll give you the very quick breakdown to the best of my abilities. For those that aren't familiar, Naruto is about a world where there are ninjas and they can use inner energy called chakra to do, I guess you'd call them spells. Anyway, Naruto is an orphan. His dad died sacrificing himself to save their village. Naruto finds a teacher, a guy named Jiraiya, who's this legendary ninja.
I would call them techniques instead of spells.
But they throw fireballs and stuff. Yeah, and they can walk on water. And so anyway, Naruto gets a teacher. He's this old creepy guy. He's a pervert. He wrote several books. He wrote these books because he was inspired throughout his life. Naruto eventually encounters a villain in the story arc who goes by the name of Pain, and they fight. And you find out that this guy Pain's real name is Nagato, and he is a former pupil of Jiraiya, the same teacher Naruto now has. And then after this great battle, Naruto is on the verge of defeating this guy. And then he says this famous line of, I will save the world or something like this. He's like, I'm going to be the hero and make my enemies my friends, and I'm going to not allow the pain. And it was a direct quote from Jiraiya, his teacher, who wrote this book about a character, and Jiraiya had been quoting his pupil. So basically what happens is when Jiraiya's younger, he trains this kid who's idealistic, wants to save the world, who says this inspiring line as a 13-year-old. Jiraiya is so moved by it, he writes this book, which is, he then teaches Naruto. And so I love this because the villain is now facing down this younger, ninja who says his own quote back to him, realizing he's become the villain he swore to fight. And Naruto now embodies his past ideals and ideology. I'm like, that was just brilliant.
Wow.
Writing. It was really, really good.
That's terrific.
I can't do it justice. You have to read it. But basically, he says the line, and then the villain's like, that's my quote. You're saying it to me. That's who I used to be.
That's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be teaching lessons like that in comics. We're not supposed to, be trying to instill politics or ideology in anyone. We're just supposed to be teaching kids basic morals like that. How to be a hero. Self-sacrifice, put others before you. Yeah, save the villain, of course.
There's very little of that. Like you mentioned earlier with Captain Marvel, that's the funniest part about that. Is it's so simple to understand. Well, not but it's so simple to understand that Captain America telling a story of self-sacrifice and wanting to help his fellow man, and even the idea that you could even tell a story now about an idealistic person wanting to protect or wanting to serve his country, they probably wouldn't even do that story anymore.
Let's talk about the first big three of Marvel. Iron Man, a military industrialist who's selling weapons for profit, has a profound experience and realizes his weapons are being sold to both sides, causing this conflict, and then says, I'm not doing this anymore. And it destroys his company, so he builds himself a suit of armor to take into his own hands, and then he fights the military-industrial complex warmonger, Ironmonger, to stop it from happening, and then the company does better than ever. They do renewable energy power. That is an amazing arc of a guy who had everything and was this cocky a-hole, who still is, but he then decides it's not worth it to be a part of this problem. Captain America, scrawny young guy, wants to serve his country. We should talk about the cultural victories that the first Marvel movies are. Then Thor, an arrogant prince who has everything, gets his powers taken from him and comes to realize humility. I'm like, these are great character arcs.
That's Stan Lee.
But
yeah,
Stan Lee, those are his stories. You understand, we don't have guys like that anymore. You want to know why Marvel is in the rut that it is? It's because Stan Lee's gone. Why is Disney the way it is? Walt Disney's gone. Why is Star Wars the way it is? George Lucas sold it. There are rare creative geniuses that come along and they have the heart and the empathy to be able to write stories that touch people in a unique way and build their childhoods. And then when they leave or they die, J.R.R. Tolkien, gone, then other people parasitically inherit it and destroy it.
These are people who are forged in a world surrounded by war.
That's absolutely true.
The lessons being told. Now what we have are people who are forged by gluttony.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking about
They're writing stories of what they're owed.
When we were reviewing Prey, we were talking about how nobody in this movie looks like they've lived through anything actually difficult in their entire life. Nobody looks like they've lived in the wilderness. Nobody looks like they've ever had to hunt for any type of food in their life, right? So people are trying to write stories now from a world that they just can't understand.
But Stan Lee, was he Silver Age? Was he around in the early days?
Yeah. Stan Lee was interesting because
World War II veteran. Sorry,
World War II veteran. Yeah, he was around in the Golden Age too, but the Silver Age, he launched it. He really did launch the Silver Age, even though before there was Flash and Green Lantern, Hal Jordan in this that really launched the Silver Age. But Stan Lee was so disgusted by the politics of comics in the 1950s with the Comics Code and the way things had become so silly that he just wanted to quit. And he told his wife, I'm so inspired by this. He told his wife he wanted to quit, and his wife said, just do one your way. Before you quit, 1961's Fantastic Four #1. That was him doing it his way. Launched the Marvel Revolution. That's when the Silver Age really
Stan Lee enlisted in 1942 after the attack on Pearl Harbor.
What a guy.
What a guy.
It's one of the things
What a
like
guy, man. Yeah.
gone are the days. There used to be dozens and dozens of actors, all who had served in the military, who had extensive military, whether through draft or because they enlisted because they believed in that country. And as that generation of people has died off, you start seeing that less and less of the stories, less and less of our culture's empathy towards its own country is gone. We talk about this every time an actor passes away that was older, right? It's like they were born at a time when there was a relative amount of support for America and they believed in their country and they believed in what it stood for. Now, I believe a lot of that has kind of been manufactured in a lot of ways by the media and that there's a lot of problems there, but you don't see that anymore. I think like Adam Driver's like the only one I can think of off the top of my head that's a newer age actor that served in the military, and you just don't see that. And it's going to lead to even more anti-American storytelling, whether it's in comics or in film and television.
You know what's interesting about manga is that there is a common trope. Black Clover. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Another really great show, really great manga. I stopped after a while, but in this world, not everybody, but many people will get a magic grimoire and magic abilities. So one day a grimoire comes to you, and then you have your book of spells, and you can cast certain spells and certain elements. There's one kid who really wants to be a magic knight and work for he wants to join the service basically, but he has no magic powers. So you know what he does? He works out until he's so incredibly powerful that when he's in the trials to become, a knight or whatever, he has no spells. But he just he's extremely powerful. Like he jumps and the ground cracks and he shoots in the air super fast. And they're like, what? When they first see him with no magic, they're like, what a pathetic loser. How could he even try and bother? But then he's so physically powerful that he actually ends up winning. And then there's like an arc where a book does appear to him. It's an anti-magic book. He gets a sword. And all of his capabilities are basically his physical ability to wield it. There's other arcs too, like anti-magic and stuff. But the general idea was, you can work hard, and if you do, you can be a magic knight.
It's the Rocky story. I mean, It works every single time it's tried. Just a normal guy who's determined. He's an underdog. The underdog story. He works his way up, and through hard work, through diligence, and through faith, all of these things, he becomes a hero, and self-sacrifice. You can tell that story over and over and over again. He beats unbeatable odds. Just out of sheer will and determination. Nobody's ever going to get tired of that. You could tell that story with a million different characters. They're doing it in Japan right now. That's why they're kicking our ass. They're raising our kids.
Right. I mean, look, I like it. I think a lot of it is really great. Not all of it. Some of it's stupid. Not everything is perfect. Bleach, for instance, also very, very, very good. The more of a reluctant thrust into adventure hero's journey. Still, great story, great ideas. You're not getting beaten over the head with the preaching.
Yeah.
It seems like I'm thinking about the age of comics. We had the Golden Age, we had the Silver Age, which ended with the 70s. Is that about right?
Yeah. Then the Bronze Age was the 70s through the 1980s. People are saying what this is today is called the Iron Age.
That's funny.
A term.
It's getting worse.
It's rusty.
No. The Iron Age. The Iron Age is really, independent creators rising up and taking over the culture because we have no choice.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.